Hey everyone, Hans here. Hope everyone's doing well. I thought it to myself, it's a fine night to make a video. I'm not even sure that anyone can see me, but what have you? That's not the important part. Today or tonight, I wanted to make a video about a game that's been brought to my attention. It's Baldur's Gate 3. Seems to be very popular. It's still in the making, and from what I've seen, there's a lot of beauty in there. Now, one of the reasons why it piqued my interest is because I used to play the second game, which came out somewhere in the 2000s. So, yeah, when I was a teenager, still even. It's been that long ago. But, yeah, that was a fun game. And I figured, okay, let's see what they're going to make out of the third one. It's been a while. And there is wonderful music. The the graphics seem to be going to be rather polished. They already rather are actually, and it's only still in its work phases, right? the uh, the thing though that concerns me is that it came to my attention also is that they're going to add what is basically soft porn in there. They're going to add elements that are reminiscent of BDSM. And then I have to wonder to myself, guys, what are you doing? To the studio who is making that game. I get that the intention is to have a sort of well-rounded game where you can do as much as possible, which is reminiscent of that Dungeons and Dragons game. But here is another aspect that perhaps should be considered. There's going to be minors who are going to play that game. And this whole corporate nonsense of just give it the 18 plus stamp and just sell it. No. Personally, I think that's nonsense because children are going to play that game, are going to get their hands on it some way. And I'm just gonna have it. Even if I'm the only guy out there who, among all these fans, who is going to say, no, not cool, keep that stuff out of the game. It doesn't need to be in there. You can make a brilliant game that moves people perfectly fine without any of that. Without all that base nonsense. Because that's really what it is to me. And I think everyone, if they're truly honest, will feel the same way. I've seen some scenes and it's all get below the belt and just humping and whatever kind of uh, whatever kind of action is in there. That is not something that you show to minors. Because minors, for those who need that explanation, and I'm actually going to say it, if you're an adult and you need this explanation, shame on you. Absolutely. Minors are still sexually developing. They are still maturing. They aren't ready yet to be imparted with such knowledge. Because they're simply physically or psychologically too young. Their hormones are going wild. And that needs tempering. You don't need to, how would you call that? You don't need to make them go even wilder. Yeah, go even crazier. Because children are curious. Minors are curious. They will try to get their hands on that game. I don't care if you put your 18 plus stamp on there. Yeah, the BDSM aspect to it. I've seen a scene where one guy undresses and another guy starts beating him on the back with some sort of club. What are you doing? I don't care if the excuse is, oh well, this is part of some sort of lore. Well, fine, here is something. If you want to add that in a game, in the Dark Alliance 2 game of Baldur's Gate 2, there is also a version of that. I remember there is this character, it's like some crazy scientist, and she makes what is it called? She makes some sort of abominations out of flesh, out of corpses. Pretty grim stuff. And they gave the model of this character, they gave her quite a bust. Let's put it like that. That is fine. And while playing this game, it shows a darker aspect of humanity in a way. Or that's at least how I perceived it at the time, as I still do now. A pretty woman who has the looks to charm, the looks to attract, but she is an absolute monster. And if you ask me, that's how you do it. Because it warns at least the intelligent minors, the intelligent children, that, yeah, maybe looks isn't everything. While not taking advantage of the situation that their hormones are going nuts and you're just drawing them in with nothing but with sex. And I've seen in Baldur's Gate 3, I've seen wonderful music. I've seen interesting dialogue. Some dialogue that I disagree with, but dialogue also that was pretty on point, pretty good, from just looking at it as a storytelling and what have you. So I know that the studio can make this game wonderful, a great experience, and that it doesn't need all of this base stuff, which actually is just what, fan service, or what do you call it? If this game would only be sold in adult sections, I might just say fine, but you just know that there's still gonna be minors who get their hands on it, so yeah. I guess I wanted to bring that up, because it is a concern of mine. The societies that we live in are already so over-sexualized that we don't need more of it. In fact, we need less. That doesn't mean that you have to be a purist either. It's this jumping from one extreme to the other. I'm not saying that either. There can be arousal in a game. There can be mild eroticism, I don't know, in a game. But if you just jam it in there, get on top of each other, just start humping one another, like, I don't know, like beasts in heat. There is something I believe is just irresponsible. Plus, and this is a phenomenon that I've mildly kept an eye on, these actors, and this is actually should be a big red flag to everyone involved, both fans as people in the studio. When the actors, or most of them, are really uncomfortable with these scenes, these sex scenes that they have to enact, I'm asking you, where does this comfort come from? I can tell you. It's because it isn't organic. It's forced, which in itself is already an unhealthy act. There is no romance in there. It's just watching, I suppose in this case, just human-sized pixels go at it with one another. And there is whatever romantic spin they're trying to make out of it, it simply isn't. Nor does it need to be. Do I piss people off with this, some fans or what have you? I really don't care. They piss me off far more, I can guarantee you that much. If for the sake of entertainment you're going to, you know, have children potentially be exposed to this, no. Those people should be ashamed of themselves. They really should. I can only hope that enough people agree with me and politely will ask, is it, yeah, I'm not gonna, is it Larian Studios? I think so. Just politely going to ask the studio, hey, please, we know you can make a wonderful game without any of the sexual content, so you don't need to add it. Stop spending your money on that part of the game. Maybe siphon that money off for another quest, for another, I don't know, another class, character, whatever it's going to be. Do it now while it's still in development. You also do the studio a pleasure with that, because then they know, oh, yeah, okay, maybe we went a bit too far. Plus, people actually would appreciate it if we didn't add this forced, vacuous nonsense in there. I think, yeah, I think that would be. I think they would find that agreeable still. And as for the whole nudity thing, for those who are really, who don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a man or a wife, I suppose. Yeah, there is perhaps another topic attached to this. But let's begin with, as far as nudity goes, that's something I personally, so long as it stays above the belt, I don't mind. Personally, I don't care. Oh, yes, women have boobies. It's a thing. And men like to look at those. That's also a thing. That is, well, guess what? Babies need to feed from those. And as far as just, you know, just minors and what have you, yeah. Make it optional that the parents can say, you know what, or you know, or I don't know, 15-year-old son needs to learn a bit about that. We think this game can bring it in the right way, so we're gonna allow it. Or other parents are going to be like, no, our children aren't ready yet, they're not mature enough yet, we're gonna cover the characters up. Fine. Is that acceptable? I think it is. That's not something I make a fuss about. What I do make a fuss about is when you add fetish stuff and soft porn into games that are accessible to the young. Not cool, guys. And you should have known that. Now get it, you want, there is the commercial aspect to it, you want to sell products and what have you. But, I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. I get it. You want to earn. Fine. I think you're gonna do that just fine with what you have already. Because I've seen some amazing music. I've seen the artistry, which is the graphic designs and what have you. This game will catch on. It will do well. It will do very well. It's not even finished and it already has a fan base. So come on, have a bit of self-confidence, right? Yeah. Is there something else? Suppose that for those who really wanted sexual stuff in there, that looks like you're missing something in your personal life, right? Aside the obvious. What's wrong? And that's a genuine question. It's not about me pointing fingers. I'm willing to listen to that as well, actually. I'm willing to speak about that just as well. If there are so many people who are just starved from, even just having relationships, perhaps. Why is that? Why is it a thing? I speak about it in other videos, becoming healthier. Become Focus less on what you want out of someone else and focus more on who you want to be for someone that you want to be your partner. Example, I saw this young woman, early 20s, who was very insecure looking, emotionally just wrecked. She was looking for, she asked for an entire crowd, can I can you give me a tip, you sir, who is a voice actor for I don't know, something on YouTube, D&D games and what have you? Can you give me some dating tips or whatever it was she asked specifically? And the guy gives an answer that I find absolutely abhorrent, just absolutely awful, means nothing. He should have just kept his mouth. But when I then look at that woman, it's I can well imagine that she's one of those people who would want it in a game because she doesn't have anyone, and these games are for her a medium to experience some connection. It's kind of like drinking to forget your worries, though. You're not gonna get out of it anything out of it at the end. A few dopamine hits from feeling well in the moment, I suppose, but I don't know, not healthy. And rather than what the guy was basically saying is just be your shitty self, and other people should just accept that. I would say no. Make yourself tougher. Make yourself more beautiful. Exercise. Uh, socialize. Have a good time. Because yeah, she asked, hey, yeah, my goal is to have the most awesome wife ever. Like, she was a girl herself, right? So lesbian. But I think it's all rooted in that political nonsense. Think she really would rather just have a decent dude, but she's just so emotionally crushed. Maybe some assholes, some scumbags, what have you, have had their way with her, and then she just decided, yeah, well, away with dudes, I'm going for girls, and I think it's terrible that happened to her. I think it's just my guess. I could be wrong, but it seems very probable. Um, that guy should have told her, well, before you can have the best, amazing partner, let's go with that, ever, you should damn well make sure that you deserve a person like that. So, in her case, if you want to have the most amazing partner, you will have to be the most amazing partner. You can't ask anyone else to be, carry you in their emotional wheelbarrow, to put it like that. It's getting lighter. Now you probably can see me better. Yeah. Is that that's perhaps what should have been told to that woman, and by which I should say, such people who are in such straits, I, I won't accept that you will say, no, I need to have that sexual content in these games. I won't accept it. You should work on yourself. You should become a better person. What you do not do is bring all of society down to convenience you. That is despicable. And I know it is a big trend in the West these days. It's a trend. Whose fault is that? It doesn't matter. I only am interested in making sure that the people who perpetuate that stop doing so. Because it starts to reflect culture, it starts to reflect in, yeah, even in gaming, just entertainment. And it needs to stop, it needs to reverse. I'm a rather busy dude. I'm always doing something. Will I play that game? I hope I have the time actually. Who knows? Maybe I'll put it on YouTube while at the same time and comment on it. Who knows? I know that a lot of people do that these days, and a lot of other people like watching that. Not sure if they would like it with if I would do so, but it's that's an entire other thing altogether. But yeah, and then should I have that game, I would be really pleased. Not with myself. I would be pleased with the studios who are considerate towards their audience. I would be pleased with the fan base for saying, yeah, it will be fine without all the sexual content. We can, it will be great still. Spend that money on the sexual content in something else for the game. Who knows? Another district of the city that it's based on. Who knows? It's not always about taking something away. Sometimes it's just replacing it for something else. Maybe introduce another race that otherwise would have never been in there. Giants or dragons, I don't know. Or maybe something that hasn't been done yet before. Nah, I can't think of any other beings. Or Fomorians or something. Celtic god knows a lot about those. But yeah, I guess those were my words of concern and hopefully a bit of advice. And again, for if this video ever reaches those communities, those who call themselves nerds and geeks and all of that, may I suggest also that you could check out my stereotype videos. I made one on the nerd. I think you should really watch it. It may change your life for the better. All in all, I've said my piece on this. You all have a good one, and bye bye.